I'm very happy to introduce Archana Gupta with us, who's going to be talking on emotional intelligence, your hidden superpower. I think we all understand the value of emotional intelligence in today's context. Uh, Let me begin by reading a short profile of Archana. Archana is a professionally certified coach and senior practitioner by European Mentoring and Coaching Council. Her coaching has empowered over 500 leaders, managers, and high potential individuals to harness their strengths and make decisive steps towards their goals. Decision making at a leadership level could be tricky at times, especially when it is about deciding a direction to choose, which would enable your growth your way. As a coach, she exactly caters to this situation and helps her clients to make them explore their definition of growth and self-sabotaging patterns or beliefs. With her coaching sessions, she will make sure that you become accountable to take an action to convert your potential to performance. With that, welcome to the session, Archana, and we are all happy to learn on what you have to offer in terms of emotional intelligence. And I'm sure that's the key to being successful in today's context. Over to you, Archana. Thank you.
Thank you, Akila, for a very generous introduction. And thank you all for joining this session to have this awareness on emotional intelligence, our hidden superpower. So let's begin with this small thing to share, how we can convert adversity to empowerment. As nature also tells us, we all have that capability. We just need to understand and to be aware how to convert that capability or that potential into performance, so that even in some adverse conditions, we feel empowered. So today, for emotional intelligence, I have taken this theme only into account, where we'll start with this famous quote from a very known scientist whom we all know, from the law of conservation of energy, that energy can't be created or destroyed. It just can be transformed from one form to another. Now, how this energy concept is being discussed along with emotions. So, accordingly, whatever emotion we are feeling, it is nothing but energy in our motion, in our day-to-day life. We all are emotional beings, and with whatever motion we are taking forward our life, these emotions are giving those energy. Like you consider, whenever we are happy, we want to do more amount of work. Or whenever we are sad, we don't want to do any work. So this is the energy we feel in our day-to-day life while we are moving ahead in our life. Now, in this emotional intelligence journey, I have learned that the way we call so-called as positive or negative emotions, there are no positive or negative emotions. These are only emotions. And emotions are nothing but the messengers of our needs. If we are feeling happy, some of our needs are getting satisfied or fulfilled. And if we are not happy, some of our needs are not getting fulfilled or satisfied. And today we are discussing how to convert these so-called negative emotions, which are not actually negative, but we have termed them negative, how to convert that energy into productivity. So that is why the theme of this whole workshop is to convert this adversity into empowerment. I would like to share here my story, which is very much relevant to this theme. I started my career being a dentist. Though I was not a practicing dentist, and this career, it was not purely my choice. Because at that point of time, even I didn't know what was best for me. And I chose because I thought that whatever my parents will decide for me will be best for me. Yes, today I'm very much happy wherever I am. But yes, at that point of time, I was not able to decide where to go. I was only sure of one thing, that I don't want to practice as a doctor. So I chose science depending on my parents' will, and I could not get through the MBBS, so I started with the BDS. But I was again sure that I will not be practicing dentistry. I always wanted to be into academics. So at that point, I decided that in whatever post-graduation I will do it in that background or that field which is not pertaining to the clinical branch. It will be a non-clinical or academics branch related to. And in this way, within my parents' choice, I found some choices for myself. And it took me 17 long years to build my career, doing 2 masters, MSc in dental materials, then MDS in oral pathology, and finally a PhD in oral cancer. I was doing my PhD along with my job in academics, where I was working as assistant professor in a dental college. And a point came in the last year of my PhD completion, where I faced some identity crisis, my roots were shaken, and my self-respect was at stake. A whole lot of career where I was just about to now settle. Something was telling me that this place is not for me. Still, I pushed myself that no, now it is the time to have these fruits for whatever I have made for myself. Now it's the time to just nourish this tree which I have built for so long, which I have nourished for so long. Now it's the time to just have those fruits from that tree. But the same was the time when something was shifting inside me because of the environment. And I had to leave my stable job after 17 long years of pursuing myself in a career which was not really of my choice, but still I persuaded it till last. That was a phase of depression for me. In that phase, however, I was in my last year of completing PhD. At one point of time, I thought, I will leave my PhD also. Now what's the point? But somehow, some inner voice was telling me that just last phase, just complete it. And let's see what happens. So I gave time to myself and left the job to totally focus on my PhD the last year. And finally, alongside, I got some coaching sessions for myself or counseling sessions for myself, which gave me a new perspective or a ray of hope that yes, something is still in control of my hands. I can still go back and do something after learning about myself. Coaching helped a lot to know more about my values, my belief systems. What do I value? What is happening in that college system which is not helping me? I thought that if just few coaching sessions are helping me to learn about myself, that who am I, what a training would look like. Along with my last year of PhD completion, I started learning coaching. I started getting trained in that and created a small vision for myself. However, in that training only, in that demo training session, when someone asked me, what would you like to do? It was a place where I answered that I feel very tired after pushing myself for so long and I don't want to do anything. So on one side, I had that vision for myself to do something of my own, but at the same place, I was tired of doing a lot. At that point of time, I still felt that struggle is continuing inside me, where I felt alone, bored of self. This was all the energy which was building inside me, a kind of negative energy. And one day, I just collected this whole negative energy and one thought came into my mind that nothing is going to happen. I just need to step out of my house. I gained that courage and energy from that negative energy which was building inside me, of that frustration and irritation. I prepared one pamphlet where it was portrayed that what I do now as a life coach. And I just let myself out from my home, sit in my car and parked my car in front of the most well-renowned college of the city. That let's see what happens. After getting down from the car, I went to the security person and asked him with that pamphlet in my hand, can I get your permission to just paste this pamphlet on some wall of this college so that people can contact me if they need me? The security person asked me, what is this pamphlet about? I just explained him what I do. And for no reason, he told me that there is a school there, please go there. I said, I just want to paste this pamphlet here. I don't want to visit a school. He said, please go there. I think you will be better listened there. I went there. It was an inclusive school with some specially abled children. I was having very jittering sensations while entering into that school, but still with that energy in me, whatever I was feeling, I just got my courage back and I entered into the school. And while I was talking to the receptionist, the founder of the school was sitting just behind another room. She came and she took me along with her. She sat with me and discussed all the things which I do. She were all ears to listen what all I do about emotional intelligence. I stepped out of my house to just offer some one-on-one sessions which I was being trained on to people around or to students around. And that lady, that founder of the school, after hearing me, she offered me a full workshop on emotional intelligence for her faculty members. I didn't know how to do that. And then I got remembered one saying which my husband used to say. Start before you are ready. And I said yes to her, that I will do it. I had no content with me. I was not prepared for a workshop. And she said, start doing it from the next week. I said, yes, I will do it. That was my courage which helped me, or that was my energy which I was feeling from all those frustrations, irritations which was building inside me, that helped me to move out of my home, to meet the strangers which I have never done in my life, pitched myself in front of a stranger and got my first long-term client. This was a real life example, life-changing example for me, which I wanted to share with you all. This was my first assignment which I got, and in the center, in that green sari, this was the founder. This is the founder lady who offered me that first workshop and 1 year long assignment with her, with all her faculty members and along with the parents of the students who were learning there. What I'm going to tell you with all this, that with all that energy which was building inside me out of negativity, how we can use it to for some productivity also. That is where the theme of this session lies, from adversity to empowerment. And now I have my own startup, that is Grey Matters in Life, where I believe that life is not black and white. It doesn't go as we have planned for it. It goes its own way. It has its own grey zones to dwell. And the only thing we can do is to embrace those grey areas and just let it flow for our own selves. And whatever is happening to us, just join hands with that, with all that awareness we have. So how can we empower ourselves when life beats us down? According to my experiences, I have discovered it as a 3-piece puzzle. And the first piece of that puzzle is how to discover that voice of purpose. So yes, while I was undergoing that situation, there were 2 voices in me. One was voice of fear and another was voice of purpose. But how to recognize these voice of fear and voice of purpose? Voice of fear was telling me, whatever is happening in the college or whatever is happening to me, let it be with it. It is just your comfort zone and you have to be operating in it. But voice of purpose was telling me that there is something else which I can do to convert it for my own self, to empower myself. So how to recognize this voice of fear? Voice of fear, it is full of self-doubt, anxieties, some threats. It will be a very dramatic voice for you. And you may feel a little shrinking inside you when you are listening to this. And what is voice of purpose doing? It is helping you to have some meaningful action for yourself, though it tells in a very subtle way. But even if it is a subtle, if somehow we tend to hear it, it helps us to feel that expansion inside us. It's just a feeling that we get. Till now, we have not taken any actions. It is just happening inside us. That whatever we feel with the voice of fear and the voice of purpose. And to go from that voice of fear to voice of purpose, it's a journey. Now, how this journey will look like? So the journey of voice of fear is polarity gets generated. Whether I should be in the same college or I should leave it. Either or. Whether I should continue whatever I'm doing or I should leave it. Our thoughts become extreme. We feel victimized. We feel judgmental. Our actions become highly definitive. And we ask ourselves again and again, after putting so many efforts to this, why me? And on the other hand, voice of purpose, where somehow we only manage those polarities. That it is not about either or. It is about how I can combine the things. So our thoughts become balanced, our actions become purposeful, and we reframe why me to what's in it for me. So in this journey, mostly when we have to move from this voice of fear to voice of purpose, the most important thing that happens to us is our identity or ego gets hurt. And it is not hurting just for one time or 2 times or 3 times. It is happening over a period of time. We feel that it is happening over a period of time. Also, the system around us is not supporting us. And we start feeling victimized. Why me? Now here to reframe this, generally what we do, we try to avoid this feeling. If we are feeling victimized, we try to avoid by doing something else, by distracting ourselves, or by just avoiding it, by snubbing this feeling. Or by distracting ourselves to other things that, okay, just park it and let's go ahead. But somehow we are not able to avoid it or snub it. It just gets piled up. So here, to convert it into that voice of purpose, the first thing is keep feeling victimized. If this emotion has come inside you, it has something to tell you. Your needs are getting emerged from this emotion. Why me? Sit with this. Don't try to avoid this. Don't try to snub this. Sit with this. Acknowledge this. Acknowledge this voice of fear. Why me? And ask this voice of fear. What this voice wants to tell me, what this voice wants me to do. And if this voice is telling me to do something, so what is it in for me that I need to do now? So taking charge by taking that action, by reframing it, what's in it for me? This is a journey from voice of fear to voice of purpose. And when we take that charge by taking just that one step, even universe will help us in ways even we don't know. Like when I stepped out of my house with all those feelings of irritation, frustration, feeling alone, with that energy, I just took that one step of going outside my home, and that security guard at that point of time, I felt even today that he was my Krishna for that, who guided me to enter into that school. Otherwise, I was there just to put a pamphlet on the wall of a college. And let me tell you, I have put my pamphlets in some other areas also, and no call came to me from those pamphlets. It was that security guard who persuaded me to enter into that school where I could get my first assignment, and that too a long-term engagement paid assignment. So even universe was waiting when I will take that one step outside my comfort zone of my home. So just taking that one step, taking that one action with all that energy you are feeling inside, you are creating that adversity into productivity, into empowering your own self in your own ways. So here in this workshop, we will not just listen that this is my voice of fear or this is my voice of purpose. I would like you to do one activity, one prompt based individual activity. If you would like to do for yourself, please have a pen and paper, and I will like to ask you some questions. Try to answer those questions for yourself, and let's see what emerges. And if anybody is ready to share, please share whatever they have to share. Shall we start? So my first question is, recall a situation where your ego was brutally hurt. Take some time for yourself and try to recall a situation. Write it down on a piece of paper. It will help you to connect the dots till my last question. My second question is, for how much time that situation lingered with you? Third question, what were your feelings during that lingering situation? Fourth question: what needs of yours were not getting fulfilled at that point of time? Fifth question: if the situation changed, what helped you to change the situation for your own self? And who else supported you to change that lingering situation? Try to reflect on these questions and these answers. How have you converted your adversity into empowerment? Sometimes we don't realize that how we have used these energies of our emotions for our own self, to empower our own self. Even this awareness, it helps us to deal with our future situations with more awareness that yes, it is possible. Our brain is a pattern making organ. It loves predictability. Whatever has happened till now, we try to make patterns out of it because we always want to predict the future. That if something has happened in the past in a way, then the future is also likely to happen in the same situation, the same way. Here, again, I would like to share another story. I always wanted to explore beautiful mountains, snow-capped mountains of Ladakh along with my family. Till the time my son was small, we didn't plan for that trip because of acclimatization issues. Last year was the perfect time when we were planning this trip to Ladakh. And somehow the trip was not getting planned because of my husband's work. It was okay for me that sometimes it happens that you don't push yourself, that it's okay if something is not getting planned. You try to adjust yourself. The days were passing. It was summer holidays for my son. And on some trivial issue, we had some fight between me and my husband. It was a trivial issue. But the emotions that were created out of that trivial issue or a fight, it triggered something else in me. It triggered again my need of visiting this place in those holidays. I tried to observe that what is happening when I have already decided that it is okay if we are not visiting this place this year. But somehow I was not able to get out of that feeling. And as we have said in our earlier topic, that it is not about avoiding those emotions or snubbing them or moving ahead. It is about acknowledging that what is happening and from what these emotions are telling us about our needs. So the pattern is that in all our summer holidays, we will go as a family. But now, there is some other need of mine also which was getting emerged here. I also wanted to travel independently. And somehow, those emotions were telling me, why can't I travel alone with my son? And I thought that if this is the need now which is emerging, why can't I take some action related to this? So yes, in our brain, when these patterns are made, we always move ahead along with these patterns. But if we want to change the situation, let's break this pattern. So the second piece of this puzzle is that challenge that pattern of the actions which we have taken till now. Now, when we challenge the pattern of these actions, some things will feel illogical for us to break the pattern. Why? Why I want to travel alone? It is okay to stay for this vacation at home. It is okay if I don't go. Why I need to break that pattern? It is feeling illogical. But something is also telling me, if I can experiment this even within the boundaries, what is so much harm in that? So again, your voice of fear will prevent you from taking that illogical step. That it is an illogical step. Why you want to go alone? Postpone this trip for another year. It's illogical to go alone in this area. After acknowledging that voice of fear, it was making me just aware that, okay, these things may happen when I choose to travel alone for the first time. And after acknowledging that fear, what are those boundaries I can create to experiment so that it doesn't feel that much illogical? And how this experiment looks like. Start reflecting. What are these voices telling us to do? What is the energy of this emotion? From where it is arising? what need of ours is getting immersed. After writing it on a piece of paper, what is happening? That whatever mesh is creating inside our head, it gets its own space on a piece of paper. And we start observing those thoughts rather than being the participant of those thoughts. That what these thoughts, emotions, or sensations are telling me to do. Allowing these emotions to happen to you, not overcoming them, not avoiding them, not distracting yourself. Allowing these emotions, sitting with these emotions. And finally, whatever steps we take out of these emotions, acknowledging those small progresses. So in emotional intelligence, I do this process in the form of know, flow, and glow. Know your emotions with the help of reflective journaling and being the observer of your emotions. Allow these emotions to happen inside you and understand what are your needs which are getting reflecting here. Let them flow. And in that flow, what is that one action you need to take? And after taking that action, how is it making you grow or glow in your own life? So yes, these were the places which I wanted to visit sometime in my life independently. And yes, here I was. So the energy which was created out of some trivial issue, it helped me again to gather that energy and to convert it into some productivity. So again, the theme of this workshop, that it is not about distracting ourselves from those emotions which are happening. It is about letting the flow of these emotions, letting inside those emotions and understand how can we convert this energy into some productivity. It can be a different issue which has been originated, but still how we can be productive to convert this energy, because energy can never be created nor be destroyed. So with this, I would again like you to do another activity related to this. Please write these questions and answers on a piece of paper for yourself. So connect this with the previous situation which you have written for yourself in our previous exercise, where something has happened which was lingered to hurt your identity. At that point of time, or if you have any other issue which is coming to your mind, at this point, in this situation, whatever you are recalling, what is that voice of fear that is telling you to do or to not to do? Try to listen to that voice of fear. Is it telling you not to do something or to do something, whatever it is? Just write it for yourself. For how long do you want to stay with the feelings generated with this voice of fear? Given full freedom to act, what would you like to do? How does the version of full freedom, action, looks like in your current boundaries? Which boundaries can you stretch? And how does now the action looks like with the stretched boundaries? So this is how, when life is beating us down, how are we empowering ourselves with this three-piece puzzle? We have discussed discover discovering that voice of purpose and challenging that action pattern for ourselves. Now here it takes us to the third and the last piece, bringing that balance between our brain and heart. Because in this voice of fear or voice of purpose or challenging that action pattern, these voices are nothing but between logical and illogical. And generally we say that what is illogical is what is our heart saying us to do. And what is logical is what our brain is telling us to do. And how to bring that balance. So if we will only work on logical brain, we will always fuel that voice of fear. Because brain loves patterns. Brain loves predictability. Whatever has happened till now, just move along that path and you will know where you are reaching. But our heart, it wants us to try new things. But if we are just listening to our heart, again, it is leading to more issues. So only voice of fear or only logical voice or only emotional voice or only voice of purpose, it may lead us to more issues. So what actually needs to happen? It is the interplay of this logic and emotions. And this is nothing but emotional intelligence, where we are effectively handling our emotions along with the logics. So we are not letting ourselves only leading with the logic or only leading with the emotions. So it is all about this emotional intelligence. However, whenever we take such steps, as I discussed in my stories, whether it is a shift in my career or it is visiting an unknown place, all by myself. It is the relationship between time and result. That how much time we are spending and when we are getting the result out of it. Like for my first story, because it's a shift in career. So it is a long journey for me. At every step, I will go on learning new things for myself and I will go on evolving. And long-term results will come because this was a new competency which I was learning for myself by shifting. So if you are learning some new competency, obviously it will take its own sweet time to bear the fruits for you. However, in my second story, it was just a matter of 7 to 10 days where that energy helped me to yield results by stretching my boundaries and visiting an unknown place within my own boundaries where I planned a safe trip for myself. Because there a competency is not needed. It is only that courage which helped me and yielded the results. So whenever we are deciding such steps for ourselves, where we are collecting these energies for ourselves to empower ourselves, whatever results we are expecting, it depends on what situations we are developing for ourselves how much time that competency needs to develop. So, this is how a three-piece puzzle is helping us to empower ourselves, even when we feel that we are in adverse situations. So when we start using the energy of these adverse situations for ourselves, we start looking at them as our opportunities. Because, as I mentioned earlier, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. So whatever energies we are feeling from our happiest moments, we are enjoying that. And whatever energies we are experiencing from such experiences which we don't like, if we start using them or converting them into some other different situations which can be productive for us, it is helping us grow in different directions. So to summarize, it is all about that voice of fear converting into voice of purpose. By changing the situations and by breaking those patterns. However, the mandatory step is how emotionally intelligently we can handle such situations. By taking the steps, by little bit stretching our boundaries, but still being logical and being safe. And finally, the results we are getting, it is based on the competency we need to develop. Because it is not about that whatever action we are taking or whatever adversity we are facing, the energies of those adversities will help us to overcome that adversity only. We can be productive in different situations just by collecting that energy of that adversity and by putting it somewhere else. So the action can be somewhere else and the consequence can be somewhere else. It is all about embracing those energies, taking those actions and letting it flow the way they want to flow. Not controlling those actions the way we want. Just being aware that what needs are getting arised and how we can use this energy to fulfill those needs. The energies can be from anywhere else and the needs can be from a different self. So this is me. You can find me on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions or you want to connect to me, can please do so. Thank you from my side.